companies. So that was the other thing that made me think it was time to maybe do something. And then I think that the other issue is that newspapers, their job, or journalists, their job is to actually write the news that sells the papers. It's not their job to write facts. And just as a very good friend of mine says, why let the truth come in the way of a good story? But unfortunately, we're not doing a very good job in the asset management industry of actually representing our own story, and we're allowing other people to speak for us. And until we start to actually represent ourselves in a more open and honest way, they will continue to benefit from that lack of straightforward and open conversation, really, with our end consumers. So that was the other thing. And when I posed recently, I was at the ILA conference of a few weeks ago, and I actually was listening to a very, very long discussion between some very high-level people in this industry on the panel that day. And a few of you here are smiling because you remember the comment which I raised. And so at the end of this very long discussion they were having, all about investor education, I asked them whether they thought that it was partly any of their role to take part in educating their end investors. So we're all here to actually work in the asset management industry. Is it really fair to expect independent financial advisors, just because they face off to end clients, to be the only ones who actually do all of the education for all of the rest of us? Is it actually fair that we expect private bankers to, just because they're facing off to their end clients, to do all of the educating for all of the rest of the people in our industry? And all of this really combined with the fact that we now have social media, and I think that companies are starting to understand the power of social media and the power of blogging, which now, there are some fantastic industry blogs available. But unfortunately, because many of these industry blogs are actually just coming from the companies directly, they don't tend to look very independently run or managed. They tend to be quite focused on the key things that that company wants to drive. So why don't we all get together perhaps as an industry and start to create something that's a bit more unbiased and a bit more about education rather than pushing a specific agenda, when actually we've all got quite a big part invested in making this cake a bit bigger. And I think all of this comes perfectly timed with the largest shortfall in pensions in our living history. We've never had such a great opportunity to do something about this, and we should all feel moved to be the ones to make that first step. So there's a lot of people that I wanted to say thank you here tonight, but the first people that I really wanted to thank are the people who've agreed to be on the site already, people who've committed to being in the videos and in the talks and writing the articles with me, who I think are super brave people, and not just people who are brave, but people who are advocates of change and who understand that being that first person is always the most difficult thing. So thank you to those people. And then just to talk a little bit more about the people, how large the actual issue is. I thought it'd be quite fun to share something with you that we saw in the Financial Times a few weeks ago. So hopefully you can see this. Okay, so there was this article in the Financial Times a few weeks back, and it then became the fastest retweeted article ever, with over 10,000 retweets within the first few hours. OMG, 25-year-olds should be saving £800 a month into their pension. CBA with that. Does anyone know what CBA means in this audience?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Can't be asked.
Can't be asked. Well done, Nick. That's brilliant. Exactly. So CBA with that. And they then added on some really fantastic images just to make the point. That says, when somebody starts telling me I should be more financially responsible. Me, in response to the idea that I should be saving £800 a month towards my pension. And the best one, @FT. What is a pension? Does it have an app? Is it on fleek? Send help. I just keep setting fire to £800 a month. So I think you can see that young people, they don't really feel engaged by what we're doing in our industry, and we need to change the way that we're communicating with them. People that do that, companies that do that, they will be the winners of tomorrow. You might find the millennials conversation slightly boring, and I have to say it's come up more than once in the last 6 months. But the problem with the conversation is that it's currently already the largest consumer group in the US. Within 10 years, companies that haven't formed a relationship with the millennial population will be in trouble. I don't want asset management to fall into that category. So I think that we need to start having these conversations in a way that's much more interesting and in a way that actually feels much more relevant to younger people, because ultimately they're the people that we serve. So now I'm showing you my speech. So just to give you an idea of how great the problem is, they actually believe that they can save a pension pot of 140k at the end of their working life. And apparently this will generate them 30k a year for the next 30 years. Now, I'm not brilliant at maths, but obviously that doesn't work. So, great. So I'm just going to talk to you a bit more now about the website. So I'm going to show you the FundsTV site, which has just gone live. Great. So here's the site. It's a really simple, easy to use site. You've got on there some talks, some articles, and when you just basically click through, you get all the talks here. So there you go. So I'm trying to keep the talks fairly short. We've done lots of editing, playing around with things, and there's always lots of descriptive words. At the bottom we have, the key themes that are coming through on each of the points that are raised. And then also on the articles, which always try and pick super fun sort of images to try and make it interesting for people, try and make it relevant. We've got some great people providing content. So that's all just gone on live today. So I hope you enjoy looking at that. And then just to finally explain why we're watching this movie. So I have to say thanks to the team at Cardano Risk Management, which is a risk management consultancy based in the Netherlands, because they're actually the ones that put together this fantastic film and allowed us to have it this evening just to show. So effectively, the reason that we decided to show Boom Bust Boom this evening is that it does touch on a lot of the issues that we've raised. Talks about the need for educating in a way that most people can understand, normal people. And I hope you enjoy it. It's actually quite fun to watch, which I know is fun and finance don't normally go together. So I hope you enjoy the movie. It's about 1 hour and 10 minutes long. Thank you.